So, I've got the opportunity to test this Indian Scout bobber. I think it's the 20 version or something. It's got the ape hangers, which is cool. It also got the special seat, the single rider seat with springs underneath it. So all in all, this is the one version that is a bit more accessorized. Besides that, it's just a regular Scout bobber. So what's different about the Scout bobber than the normal Indian Scout? Well, they changed a few things. First of all, they've changed the fenders. So the front fender is cut down to a tiny fender, the rear fender as well. The license plate is on a different spot, and it has a nice headlight shroud. The styling is blacked out. It got these nice bar end mirrors, which work really good. The suspension has become a bit more stiff. Normally the Indian Scout has a travel of 7.5 centimeters, so that's about 3 inch. The bobber has only 2 inch, so it's cut down 2.5 centimeters. That makes the suspension quite stiff. I already noticed it on the speed bumps. So that's a bummer on the bobber. What else did they change, or what are the specs? It has a 1133 cc engine, which produces 94 horsepower and 97 Newton meter of torque. That's around, I think it was 6500 RPMs. So it has quite a nice engine. It's liquid cooled, so that's a bit special for a cruiser with a V-twin at least. Here we got a tunnel. There's one guy who got nice exhaust. Yeah, he got Jekyll and Hyde exhaust. That's an extra accessory. Then you can press a button and then some valve open in the exhaust, and it sounds really good. But this bobber, yeah, with the ape hangers, the seating position is quite good actually. It's a bit comparable to my Vulcan S, although you sit a bit more upright on this one. Your feet, the peg position is a bit more underneath you, so your legs are in a more upright position than with my Vulcan S, and I assume the Scout as well, the normal Scout. It's a comfortable position. The seat is a bit slippery, so that was getting used to when I rode off at the dealership. It looks good. The color is really nice. It's like this army green camo color. So that's cool. What else? It has pretty good brakes. The front and back disc are 298 millimeter discs. So both are almost 30 centimeters diameter. The front one has 2 pistons in the caliper, and the back one has only 1. Of course, it's the rear brake. So those are the specs of this bike. It weighs about 250 kilograms with a full tank. So it is relatively light, I mean, compared to the bike in front of me, which weighs, I think it was 400 kilograms. So that's super heavy. It has a very small gas tank, 12.5 liters. No idea how much gallon that is, but I assume it's less than 3. So yeah, you won't get really far on a full tank, but that's not what the bobber is made for. The bobber is made to look cool, go from a bar to another bar, or ride around in town. Yeah, so that's why they made the bobber, to come back to that. The Indian Scout is a bit of a touring machine. It's small. It's the nimble version of an Indian. It's old. I mean, the design came back from 100 years ago. I think it's even more, 120. but they modernized it, and yeah, I think the Scout looks a bit old-fashioned, but that's the point. I mean, that's why they made it. They made it, yeah, to look the classic style Scout version, and they wanted to appeal to the younger crowd a bit, I think, or the more people who try to look cool on the bike. So they made this Bobber Scout, Scout Bobber, I have to say it correctly, which was a huge success. The matte paint scheme, the bar and mirrors, all that stuff, the blacked out colors were really, yeah, were a hit under the Indian buyers. So they upgraded the version a bit. They made it a bit more special, and that's this one with the ape hangers. It looks a bit weird, the ape hangers, but you get used to it quite fast. I mean, my bike in theory also has ape hangers, but they're more angled towards you. Yeah, that's why they made this bobber. So we've been riding, I think, for maybe 5 or 10 minutes now, so not that much, and so far it's, yeah, pretty good. It's very intuitive. The clutch is super light. It's really, well, not super light, I mean, but it's not that as heavy as you would expect from a bigger engine bike. The suspension is really stiff. I keep noticing that on the speed bumps. The travel of the pegs is not that good, actually. But what else would you expect from a bike like this? Because it's a cruiser, it's meant on the highway, or at least the roads where you don't have that many speed bumps, and then it's fine. But, or corners, I mean. This is not really a corner bike. None of the cruisers are, of course. But I noticed already, compared to my Vulcan S, that my bike has a way better leading angle. I noticed it at the roundabouts. But hey, if you just don't push it too hard, then it's fine, and you won't have any problems with it, I think. I really like the seating position, I really do. I just noticed it. My legs are nicely around the tank, feet don't touch anything on the engine. Sometimes you have that with cruiser bikes, that you have some air intake on the side, or the gearbox sticking out, that kind of stuff, but not on this one. It has 6 gears. I have only been to 4th, but that's also good and better compared to the Scout 60. Scout 60 only has 5 gears, I think it was. I can imagine, by the way, that the seat might hurt in a while. I don't think your tailbone will hurt. That's what's happening with my my bike seat, because of the backrest, I think. But yeah, with this one, your tailbone is still free, but the seat isn't that big. It's not that comfortable. It's quite hard. It's really like a pan. I think that's what it's called, the seat style. The bobber is, of course, more expensive than the normal Scout. The normal Scout, I think here in the Netherlands, it was around 15k, 16, something like that. And the bobber is 17 to 18, depending on what style, color or accessories you put on there. The engine is really responsive, by the way. I've ridden my dad's Victory, which has a huge feed win, and when you pull the throttle, it's like that it goes. And this one is, yeah, super nimble with the engine response. It doesn't have any engine modes, if I remember correctly, but it's really responsive. It's the same engine as in the FTR 1200, but the FTR one, they've upgraded a bit, they tweaked it to be a bit more, yeah, suited for that bike. Yeah, it rides really comfortable. I like this engine. It's super. The gearbox is also really smooth. sometimes with cruiser gearboxes you have this clunk when you switch gears. This one has a nice click to it. It feels really really pleasant to handle. About the features, your controls, so it has non-adjustable levers, it has horn, blinkers, etc. You have this button on the back that you can change the screen with a couple info stuff like a trip, and that's it. There's nothing more on this bike. It doesn't have cruise control, it doesn't have ride modes, it doesn't have I don't know what else. It has just throttle, brakes, gearbox, and that's it. But what else do you need on a bike like this? I mean, it's not a racing engine or machine. You can take it to some twisty roads, but it's not built for those. Yeah, why would you need it? The bobber isn't meant to be on the highway. It's just a around town cruiser, I think. So yeah, you don't need cruise control. The sport mode isn't needed. It has quite a lot of torque, 97 Newton meters of torque, but it's manageable. I mean, twist the throttle, it goes, but if you do gentle, then you don't need a rain mode. It's fine. So it doesn't stop that quick. Ooh, I slid back on the seat. That's something to keep in mind. I forgot. It's a really slippery seat, this one. I have a picture of it. I will show it now somewhere in the screen. But it's really slippery. So you gotta hold on tight when you pull the throttle. It doesn't have some backrest or anything. Yeah, it pulls. This bike pulls. You can notice the torque very good. I have no idea what the maximum amount of RPMs is. I think it's around 6,000 or 7,000. But it really goes really well. So what are competitors to the Indian Scout Bobber? Well, not that many. Of course, Harley Davidson has the Softail. The Softail Slim, I think it's called. Looks a bit like a bobber, but these speed bumps. It looks a bit like a bobber, but it's 3,000 euros more expensive. You have the Honda Rebel 1100 these days, which is also bobber styled. It's smaller, it has a parallel twin instead of a V-twin. It's lighter, it's smaller, and it's Japanese, but it's also a bunch cheaper. The Indian Scout Bobber starts from 17,000, something like that, and the Honda Rebel 1100 starts at 12,000. So that's a 5,000 euro difference for almost the same performance, really. Honda Rebel has also around 90 horsepower, probably has a bit less torque. Ooh, nice tunnel. Yeah, I'm really sliding around on this seat. It's hilarious in a way. So yeah, the Honda Rebel 1100 is a good competitor, I think. Oh, you can stand up on these bikes. That's better than on my bike. What else do you have out there? The Triumph Bobber. I think it's the 1200 Bobber. I don't know what the real name is. Which also looks really cool. It has the same style of seat as this one. I think it's also around the same price, same performance. The big difference is there's a big pond in between. One is British, the other one is American. So that's the real difference, I could say. What else do you have? The Kawasaki Vulcan S. It's not really a competitor. I own it. It's a total different bike. It's looking more modern. It's parallel twin, smaller CC engine, less power, all that stuff. So that's not really a competitor, I think. The engine has a nice sound to it, by the way. It's a nice rumble, actually. The exhaust isn't that loud, but these days it's not cool to have a loud exhaust. I've tried it on my bike. There's a video coming about it soon. But no, loud exhausts are not cool anymore. It's way more cooler to have a cool bike. It looks cool. I mean, yeah, who cares about loud exhausts? The finish on this bike is really good, by the way. I mean, all the components are styled really nice. I mean, here around the clock, the brackets are really good. It looks built like really well. So that's well done by Indian. It's yeah, you can still notice that it's a nimble bike. I mean, the engine is liquid cooled. It's not a huge engine, like 1800 cc's or whatever, but it's a flickable bike. Too bad they've not increased the, what do you call that, lean angle, because that would be way better if you could, yeah, put it on its ear a bit better. It accelerates really quick at first. In first gear, I really had to clench my butt cheeks, because otherwise I would have slid off the seat. Yeah, the leading angle is really bad. I mean, we're quite pushing it now, and I'm scraping my heel over the floor or over the road. The gearbox is really smooth. I keep noticing it, how smooth it is. I think Indian is doing a really good job with all these bikes they have in their portfolio, I would say. Let's see what we do here. Oh, that's it. You have the Indian Scout these days. They have the new Chieftain, or no, the Chief, excuse me. Yeah, you can clutch this upshift. It's also nice. Accelerates like crazy, or at least it feels that way with this seat. So yeah, they have the Indian Scout, Scout Bobber. They also have a Scout 60, which has a smaller engine and a gearless. The Chief, the Chieftain, the Dark Horse versions. Challenger, that's the one in front of me. Here rides the Challenger, which is also a really cool looking bike. So yeah, they have a lot of nice bikes these days in their list of bikes, and I think they're doing a really good job. What do you call that? Going against Harley Davidson. I mean, Harley Davidson has been there for ages, and the bikes still look the same. They have some new ones. Of course, the Softail line has some more extravagant styling ones, but the rest, yeah, it's still Harley Davidson. I mean, you can see one and you notice it. So I think Indian is doing a really good job here. I think we're back now. Yeah, we're back. So that's it for now, this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up or subscribe if you want more. And I hope to see you in the next one. Cheers.